Alright, a very good morning, Twitch and YouTube once again from Captain Nabs. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Season 4 of A Pilot's Life here on Twitch. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I am still enjoying it. It's an interesting challenge to try and fly all these flights. I really am still enjoying it, so I'm happy to continue doing it. I hope you guys are still enjoying watching it. And today we are, as I said, we're starting with Season 4. If you caught the bonus material, then you know what we're doing today. Always important to have coffee in the morning. The bonus material today is, or the bonus material I did for the end of Season 3 was just to show you how I come up with my schedules for A Pilot's Life. The schedule generation feature is really a great feature. It's probably one of the most powerful features and one of the most useful features of A Pilot's Life. The flight tracking is good, and you know the earnings potential and everything else is also kind of fun. But it really is a schedule generation. How the schedules, it creates somewhat realistic schedules for whatever airline you work for. That's what I think is really the beauty of this software. So first of all, I'm just going to head up the dashboard because it has actually, I'm going to show you in the alerts, it has been, it's been a couple of weeks since I actually did my last stream. I've took a little break at the end of the season, mostly just to kind of, just to give it a little bit of a break. You know, summer's here. It's nice to get outside and spend a lot of time outside. I got tons of projects right now that I'm trying to also get done around my house, so that also is contributing to how much time I have available. So yeah, it's been a little while. So I did get paid. So let's see how much we got paid. I haven't even checked this yet. I got $196. I do not get paid very much as a pilot, apparently. My bank account is up to $780. It's getting there. It's getting there with the 72 hours. I have bought one thing, I think, in my... nope, that's not the shop. This is the shop here. I have bought one thing in my shop here. And that was... what did I buy? I bought a flight bag, I think, didn't I? Yes, I bought the flight bag. That's what I bought. Give me a little bit of an experience point bonus, which gets me a little closer to my next promotion. The other things I can do is I can get monetary bonuses, but all these purchases start at like $2,000, so it's got to be quite a bit just to make it... you certainly don't make money quickly in this. You have to be flying a lot, or you have to be... You have to start out flying a lot because you have to make the money in order to get any of those bonus items that give you better performance, either monetary performance or experience points performance. So we are a little over halfway to becoming a senior first officer. I am anticipating that by the end of the month we will be a senior first officer and we'll be making quite a bit more money by that point. And so for those of you that didn't watch the video, we've got a bunch of stuff going on this season. First of all, we're starting out with a base in Montreal, just to change things up a little bit, hopefully spark a little bit improved performance, because Montreal definitely does run better on my computer than Toronto does. It's just not as big, not as complex of an airport. Toronto is just, it's a hub for the world, really. It's not the only one by any means, but it is a world-class hub with, it's a huge airport, busy airport, lots of detail in the flight time scenery. Montreal is a big airport, but it's not nearly as big as Toronto. It's not nearly as detailed as Toronto, so it runs a lot better on my computer here, as you're going to see in this video. So we're starting out of Montreal. One thing we're going to do, though, we are going to hit up Toronto a lot because we are ending up, the way the schedule generation works, it just looks at flights, it just looks at whatever airport you're at and whatever valid flights you can get from that airport. That'll eventually get you back to your hub. So what happens is it's got a 50-50 chance when it gets to any one of those destinations that it's going to be able to do a flight back, either back to Montreal or back to Toronto, because most of these places are served from both Montreal and Toronto. So you'll see that happens a lot here. We go from Montreal to San Juan, then back to Pearson to get to Montreal. Fort Lauderdale turn, and then a Punta Cana turn. Yeah, sorry, the Fort Lauderdale turn, yes, it is. It's Montreal, Fort Lauderdale, Toronto, and back to Montreal. The Punta Cana turn is just Montreal direct and back. And then we end with a turn to Nice, which is at the very end of the season. Gives me a little time to stress about it between now and then, because I still find that the A330 is not a reliable aircraft, and I'm kind of wishing I had deselected long-haul flying from the from the schedule generation feature here in Transat, because I still don't trust that airplane. I've tried a few flights with it just on my own for fun, and it still is not 100% reliable. It does crash periodically. Clean install of Windows. There's been quite a lot of stuff installed, but it's just still it's a troublesome airplane, and it worries me a little bit. So I will give those flights one chance. If they don't work the first chance, I will probably bail on them and just use the skip flight feature to skip that turn altogether. It's not worth stressing when you're trying to enjoy your hobby. So again, today's current flight is Toronto down to San Juan in Puerto Rico. And with that said, we're just going to hop in the plane and we're going to get ready to go here, because it's going to be a good slog here. I think it's about 4 hours today in the air. So let's get this show on the road here. It's a tiny bit under 4 hours, 3:57. So first things first, before I do anything else, actually let's do this. Let's just get the FS2 crew going here, because that'll just going to move that up to an appropriate height there. You guys can still see it a little bit. Now I can't move it. There we go. That'll do. Alright, let's just check the config to make sure everything is set up correctly here. You guys should be hearing all this, I hope. And give me 1 second. Where is my control? Standby 1. Alright, sorry about that, guys. I have a speaker control and it actually fell behind the desk. I had not realized it. So today we're going to use, I've used an EU crew a couple times. I'm going to go back to the US-1 crew. We are going to use external power, and we're going to start our pre-flight procedures.
Hi there, Captain. How are you today?
And he sounds really quiet. I hope it's okay for you guys. Let me just turn this up a little bit there. I think it's just a question of my headphone volume. I am good. Okay, so he's going to power on the airplane. While he's powering on the airplane, we can get ready to load it here. So, as always, we have flight plan on SimBrief, and we're going to use the numbers from SimBrief here. So, we're calling for 17.6 kilos, 17.6 tons. So, by the time he's loaded it, we're going to say 17.8. And before we do anything else, let's call that fuel truck, because it's going to take him a little while to do that. We're also going to call for catering, and they can cater while he's fueling. And let's see here. Today we are estimating 188 people. And we'll put 2.3 in for the cargo, and then we're good to go. Now they'll come, they'll fuel, everything will happen automatically. It's all good. I should probably bring up my chat window as well, in case any of you guys do want to chat while you're watching. Feel free to ask questions. You know, I love to chat. I don't mind a little distraction while we're flying here, so feel free to chat as much as you like. But there you go. So the FS2 crew guy has got the flight deck prep started here. Let's just make sure he's doing everything he needs to do. He does some of the stuff, but he doesn't do other stuff. So we're going to make sure we do get the aiders on, because that is important. Nothing much is going to happen without some sort of reference system. External power is on. Let's just get rid of all of these white lights here. And I just feel like there we go. Wasn't quite in the right place there. No portable electronics. Seatbelts are on. Emergency lights are armed. And the nav lights are on. And he did set the parking brake. Alright. And I think we're just about ready to start getting set up here. Just going to pull up the MCDU. There it is. And as always, I am taking advantage of the nope, not that one. There it is. Of the AviaWorks CDU. One of these days, I'm going to get myself a higher quality webcam, and you guys will actually be able to see what it says on there. It's on my shopping list now. Morning, Ben. Good to see I'm not the only person up and enjoying simulation at this hour. Alright, so let's get started here. I have not, as you can see, I have not really used the Airbus too much lately, so I'm kind of a little bit hesitating. I've been really enjoying the NGXU, and that's a great airplane too. But I'm a little bit out of practice. I'm going to show you guys the flight manually here. So the flight today is Transat 640, and let's see, we're going to hit up our flight plan here, so let's go ahead and do this. Again, I love having it on the EFB here. Now, one thing you guys may have noticed is that the EFB is looking a little bit better today. I have turned the HDR lighting back off in the sim. I like it sometimes, but it really is annoying to try and use this EFB because it washes out this EFB so much, and this EFB is so nice to look at that it's a real shame that it does that. So, oh, we got some fun stepping around here. 320, 330, 340, 330, 340, 350. Okay, I'm going to go with the initial 320 for our cruise altitude, and we'll see what happens after that. Those climbs, a lot of them look like they're related to turns back and forth, so... sorry, I'm just remembering, I've just got to make sure I do this. There we go. Okay, so init is done. Flight plan page, Montreal. There's only one departure procedure, and there's only one runway that's open as well. There's a long-term construction project going on in Montreal, and so we're basically 6 right or 24 left. Winds are out of 120. That's actually favoring a departure on 6 right, which will be a little bit faster to get out of here. Save us the long taxi in Montreal. Not that we don't enjoy taxiing a long way past all the beautiful scenery, but there you go. Alright, and then if we scroll down here... Oh, not that far. I thought we were just doing like a little scroll here. There is our flight plan routing there, so we're going to go ahead and put that all in there. Fawns, and then Bugsy, Nippy. Albany Jet 37 to JFK. I've gotten used to this A320 FMS, but there are still things I don't like about it, and the way airways are inserted too. It's not that it's not intuitive, but it is a little bit more laborious. It's one thing I will say I think Boeing has done a better job of overall is mastering the FMS, making user input extremely easy. It seems like the Boeing FMS was designed by pilots for pilots. It seems like the Airbus FMS was designed by engineers who may or may not what am I trying to see? I can't even, like, I have to go into 3 menus here just to get the airway in there. You know, it seems like it was designed by engineers who didn't have to use the system on a daily basis. That's the general feeling I get from the cumbersome way the input system works here. Because then, the second I go and put one airway in, and then it takes me back to the legs page, I'm back at the top of the legs page again, and I have to go scrolling down to get to you know, where I am in the flight plan. And then I'm going to have to go and do this again and again and again because there's a bunch of airways, but then there's little pauses in between the airways. So again, it seems like something that people who are not using the system on a daily basis are the ones who designed it. It's not like crazy cumbersome, it's not completely unusable, but it could be more efficient. It definitely could be more efficient than it is right now. RTE7. Yep. Pling. And then for some reason not allowed. The sailor, there we go. And then I've got to scroll all the way down through 20-something waypoints here. These arrow buttons on this FMS in the real airplane must get darn worn out. There's certain buttons on in airplanes that get worn out a lot. Probably the number one would be the push to talk in any airplane. That button gets used every minute of every day, and it gets worn out really quickly. And then from there, direct to TJSJ, which is funny, there's no arrival. There's no arrival here. I might look into putting an arrival in later. That's good enough for now. That'll get us to our destination, or at least certainly airborne. So then back to the init page 2, and fuel is flowing into the airplane. Let's go back and put in, let's see here, our ZFW of 68.4. I'm not really doing this correct because I should really be stealing it from the flight plan here, not the FMS. Alright, we're going to load 17.8 tons of fuel. That's going to be our block. And finally, performance. We're going to do a flap 1 takeoff. It's a plenty long runway here in Montreal. And if anybody is familiar with the Airbus, I'm curious to know, is flap 1? If it's not Boeing, I'm not going is the comment. I tend to agree with that comment. Although nowadays, isn't it if it's Boeing, I'm not going? Isn't that now the isn't that the 737 MAX motto? Okay, so performance done. Doesn't look like we're gonna have any ATC here in Montreal this morning, and that's fine. We can deal without ATC. I like it, but if you don't have it, oops, it's the wrong way. That's what I'm looking for. I need that freighter. But if you don't have it, you don't have it. It's not the end of the world. Okay. So there's the altimeter in Montreal today is 3003. Got a non-stop summary high pressure system going on here in Eastern North America, it seems. Just doesn't... What the... That's weird. Just... Why does it keep going back into the 297s? Don't do it again. Stay where you are. Good. Good. Auto thrust system armed, and... Because we don't have any ATC, normally you'd put in 4900 for the altitude until you get the clearance. Because we don't have any ATC, we're not going to get a clearance. We'll put the 5000 in right now. And that was me moving my thrust lever, and the second I do that, for some reason this resets now, so don't know why that is. Still have not been able to figure that out. That's one thing that's annoyed me since I reset the system, but anyways, and everything else. Apple's going to come back in a minute and check everything I've done anyways. I guess we should get Unicom up here. There we go. VATSIM Unicom is up. And we'll put 2000 on the transponder until we get something better. And then I think everything else, just a quick... Yeah.
I'm back from the walk
check.
around. Everything looks good.
Thank you. And he's good. If people don't like Boeing, they can suffer through an Airbus flight. Oh, I like it. I mean, I like things about the Airbus. There's certain things about the Airbus that are well done. And certainly the integration of the guidance panel and the FMS is certainly well done. But there's certain things about the way the FMS overall is designed I don't like it. It's not that I don't like them, it's that Boeing has done it better. Much better. And inputting routes into the FMS is done much better on a Boeing. It's so intuitive, you barely even have to think about it. With Airbus, it's like you have to go through menus to get to important things, and that really bugs me. You know, stuff that you use every day should be easily accessible. Stuff that you use multiple times a day should be easily accessible. And this one thing, Embraer recently had this problem. They recently...
Hey, Captain. The agents want to start sending people out. Can we start boarding?
Go for it. Yes.
Okay, I'll let them know.
Just make sure the jet bridge is there. We'll call for boarding. Yeah, so this is one thing that Honeywell's FMS and the Embraer recently changed as well, and what they did is a lot of things about the new version. It's version 27 of the software is really good, but one thing that really bugs me is that they took away the VNAV page, which used to be like on the progress page 2. So if you'd hit progress and then go to the second page, you'd have all your VNAV information, top of climb, top of descent, all that stuff right there, easily accessible. And then they replaced that on the progress page 2 is now the required time of arrival page. And as a pilot, I have used the RTA function maybe 4 to 5 times in the last 3 years. Whereas the VNAV page, VNAV information is something I want to look at on almost every single flight, at least once every single flight. And that's a really good example of taking useful information and burying it now down in a menu and replacing it with information that's not used on a daily basis. And that was one that really bugged me, is the required time of arrival page. It's such a very rarely used page by most operators. There are probably a few operators that may have to use it somewhat, but most operators have very little use for that page, whereas VNAV is something that a pilot will find useful on almost every single flight. So anyways, that one really bugged me. That was a real case of taking what was a good thing and just making it worse. Like Apple does every single time they upgrade their iOS. Oh, snap. Not an Apple fan, as you can tell. Anyways, I think we're just about ready to do a briefing here since we're boarding these guys, so let's go ahead and let's just make sure we have... I'm just going to pause that for a second. I did get my charts to work today, and I do have... Oh, I don't have the SID. Okay, no problem, no problem. We can do this. But because Montreal is now going to be my new hub, I'm going to make sure that all of my Montreal charts are right here on the kneeboard where I can easily access them all the time. Are you ready for the departure briefing? Are you ready for the takeoff briefing?
Ready?
It's funny, sometimes in FS2 crews, some of the FS2 crews, they say departure, some of them say takeoff briefing, some of them say departure briefing. So sometimes I forget which airplane I'm in, which is appropriate. Okay, so we're going to be doing a departure off runway 06 right. In the event of any abnormality during taxi, will stop. Otherwise, this would be a left seat takeoff. Any malfunctions prior to the V1 of 147, I'll call stop or go. If the call is stop, I'll close the thrust lever, apply max brake, disconnect the auto throttle, apply max reverse, stop on the runway. If the call is go or we're at or above V1, I'll continue to take off at 400 feet. I'll call heading mode bank and ask to identify the failure. The engine failure procedure in Montreal is just to continue straight ahead, runway heading 057 to the minimum altitude of 3,000 is the MSA around Montreal. And then once established in the climb, we'll action the emergency. We are parked at gate 65, I believe, today, so quick taxi out to 6 right, and with the smaller airplane, we can just go south ramp the whole way through in between the two buildings. South ramp has a maximum wingspan of 36 meters, 118 feet. I believe that's okay with the bus and the 37, but that's about the biggest thing you can get through there. And that takes us right to the threshold of 06 right, no hotspots along that route. The departure, the Montreal 1 departure, plate 10-3 and effective on the 17th of May 2019. Safe altitude 100 miles to 7400, contact departure control airborne unless otherwise instructed. Refer to 10-4 noise abatement procedures. If you haven't already read it, basically it says no turns below 3000 when departing Montreal. For 6 right specifically, no right turns below 1300. There's a nice big tower right over here that you don't want to hit at up to 1200 feet, so no right turns whatsoever below 1300. Once you hit 1300, you can do any assigned right turn, but otherwise it's climb heading 057 or is assigned for vectors to assigned route, and if I hit the flight plan page, you'll see that it does say heading 041, bearing 057, so it's already compensated for some wind to 1300. And then it's manual until we give ourselves direct to Fawns. And unless otherwise done by ATC, maintain 5,000. Which, if we scroll over here... Nope, don't have it yet. Scroll over there. That's 5,000 and everything else is running in managed mode. Let's see. So terrain, not too much around Montreal, just no right turns immediately after departure. Weather is beautiful day here. Summer is just being absolutely gorgeous this year. Operational, let's check the NOTAM page here and our flight plan. And what you'll see is most of these relate to the fact that still 06 left, 24 right is closed, no instrument procedures at all. Swissport fueling needs an hour's notice because they don't have as many employees running around right now as they usually do. Taxiway Echo 1028 closed, 6 left, 24 right closed, and that's about it for NOTAMs in Montreal. And that's all I've really got to say. Any questions? Do you have any questions?
Okay, that's checked and no questions.
Alright, let's do before start checklist to the line. Before start checklist to the line.
Before start checklist, down to the line. Cockpit prep.
Complete.
Completed. Gears, pins, and covers.
Removed.
Signs.
Let's see here. So fueling is done. On.
ADIRS.
Nav.
Fuel quantity.
17.8 tons. 17 tons.
Takeoff data.
Set.
Baro ref.
3003 set.
3003. Cross-checked. Set. Okay, before start checklist, completed to the line.
Alright, there we go, and he's almost ready to go. Any questions? Yes, everything. I'm glad you're not my FO there. Just commenting on the chat. What's the point of RTA? There is a point to required time of arrival at certain fixes. In the future, it may become a more important feature, as especially America, and I think Europe's going the same way, moving into like a 4D ATC system where passing over certain points at specific times becomes a requirement. Alright, we're getting close to getting ready here, so let's just start that APU. So yeah, like required time of arrival basically allows you to put in any fixed name you want on your flight plan and say, I have to cross this fix at this time, and the airplane will pick the speed that will reach that point at that time. It is useful in certain circumstances. Airports, the biggest, I think, example is airports that are curfew restricted. So if you're doing an overnight flight heading for an airport that has a curfew restriction where you can't land before a certain time, you can calculate a required time of arrival and be at that airport, you know, no earlier than the lifting of the curfew time. So it can work well to kind of maintain a better schedule. ATC may have restrictions oftentimes. The one place where I've encountered it a few times is dealing with Toronto, entering Toronto, and because the system is saturated and the terminal area is saturated, they will have, every aircraft will have a certain time that they have to enter the TCU at and not before. So there's basically one airplane entering every minute from different directions to keep the saturation down rather than just everyone just going full speed towards the TCU. So you'll have to slow down to kind of reach that time. That's one of the few times I found it, is a metering time at a certain point or entering a terminal unit. And yeah, so I find it's a useful, it can be a useful tool, but it's just not something that's used on a daily basis. And that's what bugged me, was it was moved to a place that was so prominent, and prominent information was moved to the back, as it were. Anyways, these guys are almost done, so we got the APU just about fired up. I believe it should be online. Let's just check and make sure it is online here. Yeah, it is online. It's so quiet in this airplane. Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead.
Please disconnect external power.
Roger, disconnecting the GPU.
Alright, we're going to get ready here for the pushback, because it's going to come very soon. I'm sorry if you missed the takeoff there. I was doing it really quick because I find it's repetitive. I probably should do it slower.
Hi,
Prepare-
Captain. The passenger boarding is complete, and I've got the load sheet here for you when you're ready.
Thank you. Alright. They're closing the
Captain,
door.
GPU is now disconnected.
They're getting ready to go here already.
Have a safe flight.
I think I hit the wrong button there. I accidentally removed the timer, but that's okay. We're ready to go now anyways. Cockpit. Disregard.
Go ahead.
Before start procedures.
Okay.
Thinking like a Boeing and I have to ask permission to pressurize. Believe me, when I do briefings in the real world, they do go slower than that. I just find that...
We're ready for pushback.
I think for most people in the sim world, it's rattling on something that's not terribly relevant to them, so I tend to rattle it off pretty quickly. Before start checklist below the line.
Before start checklist below the line. Windows and doors.
Locking gear.
Closed.
Closed. Beacon.
On.
Thrust levers.
Idle.
Parking brake.
Set.
Before start checklist complete.
Departure check completed.
Now.
Bypass pin inserted.
The bridge has not been removed, and I cannot remove it through GSX, so we'll have to remove it through SODE. There it goes. Alright, and we're ready to get underway here.
Commencing push.
Parking brakes
All
released.
engines clear. Start of
Roger on the brake, starting the push, and you're clear to start engine number 2.
Thank you. Start engine 2.
You're clear to start engine number 1 at your discretion.
Okay, starting engine 2. Did I not put the APU bleed on? Oh, I'm always forgetting that stupid APU bleed in this airplane. Oh, I've been pretty good about it lately. And then the second I put a camera on myself, I forget. Don't see too many other people in Montreal. It's also a quieter airport on
Checked.
FATSIM. So it makes it more likely that you're not going to run into people. Probably also does help the performance as well. There we go. We got a good start on 2, starting engine 1. Good old Airbus PTU. One thing I will give Airbus a lot of credit for, they do have a lot of information available to the pilot through the ECAM system and through the status screens. There's a lot of information available to the pilot, which is good. I also don't like an airplane that hides too much from the pilots. You don't necessarily need to have it all in front of you, but through like a menu system and through like multiple display systems like this, you can have more information.
set parking brakes.
That was one thing I felt about the Dash 8 that could have been improved.
Waiting your confirmation for good engine start.
Because we had lots of problems when I was flying the Dash 8 with the air conditioning system, and nobody knew what the problems were because the pilots could never diagnose what they were seeing. Why are we moving? That's weird. That is very weird. I think that was FS2 crew trying to run its pushback system, which I thought I did not have selected, but it seemed to keep going there. Oh, flight sims sometimes do weird things. And distract me from my train of thought. I totally forgot what my train of thought was. Oh, the Dash 8. Yeah, the air conditioning system on the Dash 8 was a very problematic system. It was not able to keep up with the airplane on the Q400, but
Tow truck disconnected.
you'd complain to maintenance about it, but they would never do anything about it because they'd never really be able to find a source of a problem. One thing I thought that would be really useful was if they had something like, let's see here, where is it? No, conditioning there. Just even as to have a readout of what the temperature sensors were saying in the airplane. That's one thing you didn't get from the Dash 8. You had a temperature indicator that showed you what the temperatures actually were in the duct, and maybe one of the temperature sensors in the cabin, but you didn't get a lot of information about what all the different sensors in the cabin were saying, because there's multiple sensors that were trying to put things together. So, you know, being able to diagnose problems, well, look, that sensor's obviously out of whack. It says it's 24 degrees when everyone in the cabin says it's freezing and it's 18 degrees, or vice versa. Then you can, you can diagnose problems if you have more information, and you can help maintenance diagnose those problems. And that was one thing with the Dash 8, was there was a bit of a shortage of information sometimes when you're trying to diagnose a problem. It's not necessarily your job to fix a problem, but a lot of problems in airplanes can't necessarily always be replicated on the ground. So trying to explain it to maintenance, nowadays it's a little bit easier because you can take videos and pictures and say this is what we saw, if you have access to the information. But if you don't have the information, if you don't have temperatures and stuff there, then there's just not much you can do. You're clear to disconnect and go to hand signals. You are clear to disconnect and go to hand signals.
Alright, you'll have a safe flight.
After start procedures.
Check. Flaps 1 plus F.
APU bleed off. No anti-ice. APU off. And start lever normal. You just have to dismiss the ground crew in order to cycle up the FS2 crew here. After start checklist. After start checklist.
Okay, after start checklist. Anti-ice.
Off.
ECAM status.
Checked.
Pitch trim. Rudder trim.
Okay, well I was going to say 1 up and 0.
After start checklist complete.
Flight control check.
Ready? Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral.
Flight control check complete.
Ready?
Clear on the left.
Clear on the right.
Alrighty, and away we go on another leg of our tour here. Let's just do a quick little Simbit world here, make sure that it is switched to the end flight screen, which is great. And I'm also going to check my Sim Toolkit Pro. It is flight tracking, yes, okay, good. And that was a really quick glance. I don't know if you guys saw it, but there's a new version of Sim Toolkit Pro out there, 0.6.9 I think they're up to. But they're into the 0.6 series, which is a bit of an upgrade from the 0.5 series. There's quite a few new features added, so we'll go into that a little bit later. For now, you can enjoy the beautiful Fly Tampa Montreal. This is the updated version from late 2019 with, I think, dynamic lighting and everything else added. Not that you can see the dynamic lighting here in the daytime, but again, this is Fly Tampa does a fantastic job. It's overall a very good rendition of this airport. Right down to the people movers parked at the gates over there, which are parked there just all the time. There is even interior modeling of the terminal. I don't know if you can really see that well, but there is interior modeling in the terminal here. As we go by, it's not like spectacular or anything, but you can just sort of make out seats and sort of storefronts and things like that as you go by.
Flight deck. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Captain, the captain is secure.
Checked. As you can see, it's a pretty narrow space through here. Nothing much bigger than a 3.7 can make it between the island terminal there and the main terminal. you have to be pretty strict at staying on the center line through this region too, because of just everything sort of being parked. There is a lot of equipment parked pretty close. There is the Aero Key terminal. There's often airplanes parked at these gates. So it's a bit of a treacherous terminal, a little treacherous area. Now, I have read that they are discussing getting rid of this Aero Key terminal, and it's funny, like if you see this terminal here, the Aero Key as it's called, it is very 1960s vintage. A lot of this airport has been redone in the last 10 to 15 years, and it's looking very nice now, a lot of it on the inside. But this area over here, where they park mostly RJs and Dash 8s, a lot of regional aircraft, it's very, I hate to use the word ghetto, but it's very dated anyways on the inside. Very much dated to like a 1960s era. And I've read that they're talking about getting rid of it, and they are actually talking about expanding the airport again. They're actually talking about permanently closing runway 1028, which is just beyond the Aero Key terminal here, and putting in some new terminal space over there. Because really 1028 is pretty useless most of the time. Just about the only thing that really uses it is Dash 8s. And it's closed a large portion of the time, and plus it also then puts flights directly over areas, noise sensitive areas, so for departures. So it's not a very useful runway, so there's not a whole lot of space. This airport is pretty space constrained now. It's built up on most sides, so the only way to really expand this terminal, given the limitations of the two main runways on either side of the terminal, would be to expand further into the infield. So that seems to be what's going to happen. Before takeoff checklist to the line. Before takeoff checklist to the line. Oh, that's why. Before takeoff checklist to the line.
Before takeoff checklist down the line. Flight controls.
Checked.
Checked. Flight instruments.
Checked.
Checked. Briefing.
Confirmed.
Flap setting.
Config 1 plus F.
Config 1 plus F. V1, VR, V2 flex temp.
V1 147, VR 150, V2 154. Flex temp is 36 degrees. Flex temp is 36 degrees.
V1 is 147. V rotate is 150. V2 is 154. And for the flex temp, we have 36 degrees. ATC.
Set.
ECAM memo.
Takeoff, no blue.
Before takeoff checklist complete to the line.
Before takeoff checklist below the line.
Before takeoff
Cabin
checklist
crew, seats
below
for
the
departure.
line. Cabin crew.
Advised.
TCAS.
TARA.
Engine mode selector.
Norm.
PAX.
On.
Okay, before takeoff checklist is complete.
Montreal Trudeau traffic. Transat 640 is taking position runway 06 right for departure. Montreal 1 departure. Clear on the left. And the good old Montreal Sheraton. The Starship Enterprise Hotel right there. Because it's a round hotel. Any flight crew that's stayed in Montreal has probably stayed at that hotel, I swear. Almost all the flight crews seem to stay there. It's probably really cheap. I'm not a big fan of that hotel. It's one of my least favorite hotels, it really is. It's poorly run. Takeoff.
Check.
Check thrust.
Thrust set. .100 knots.
Checked.
V1. Rotate. Positive rate.
Gear up.
Gear up. Gear up.
Autopilot is useful, but I do enjoy some hand flying too. Flaps up.
Check the speed.
Flaps up.
Flap 0.
Autopilot on.
Checked.
Direct Bugsy.
Checked. Thousand to go.
Checked. Set flight level 320.
Level 320.
Checked. After takeoff checklist to the line.
After takeoff checklist, down the line. Landing gear.
Up.
Flaps.
Retracted.
X.
On.
After takeoff checklist completed, to the line.
Alright, just below the line, and then we don't start the FO again for another couple hours. Alright, back around we go on departure out of Montreal. Back towards Bugsy, where we'll then take a big trip to a big turn to the south, but this avoids the arrival routes into Montreal this way. There's the airport way back there. The Olympic Park. Man, the Olympics in Montreal seem like such ancient history now. Wow. Disappearing into the clouds. Boo. Montreal is a beautiful city. I do like it. It's a fairly large city, but I mean not huge, not like not by worldwide standard. But again, it's still one of the biggest cities. But it's a very friendly, personable city. I still find that from when I visited quite a few times. I spent quite a lot of time there, career-wise, but even just for fun, I visited a few times, and I find it's a very friendly city. I do enjoy it. Alright, so we're underway here on our next leg here, a pilot's life. I hope that the noise of the airplane is not too loud for you guys. It looks like it's fairly loud. I may turn it down just an inkling here, just so it's not quite so obnoxiously loud in the stream. Sometimes it's hard for me to judge, you know, because I can adjust my headset volume, so it's hard to judge the balance versus the audio. So I have to, sometimes I have to adjust that a little bit. It also depends on the airplane too. Some airplanes are louder on the interior than others, so you know you have to adjust it to sort of compensate for that. There's 10,000. Lights off. And let's check the pressurization system. Pressurization checks. Cabin is climbing a little tiny bit. And seatbelts, yeah, looks like a pretty nice day. It does look like a beautiful day, and I will have to say this, that certainly for those of us in the eastern part of Canada, it has been a gorgeous summer. For the last few weeks, it's just, it's hot all the time. It's beginning to feel a bit like, it's beginning to feel a bit like Arizona or something here in eastern Canada. It's hot, and it has not rained for, we haven't had a substantial rain in weeks and weeks now. Even then, I think about 2 weeks ago, we had like one night where we had a rainstorm pass through, and that was just a one-off thunderstorm, and that was it. Like, we have had it very dry. The eastern Canada is not this green right now. It's much more yellow in color. It's very nice. It's been a great summer. It's been good in a way, because being stuck indoors for as long as all of us have been and not being able to go out into social atmospheres, it's great that we can at least get outside. And we can, you know, enjoy the outdoors, do hiking and biking, or whatever you enjoy. I'd say swimming, but swimming's a little bit tougher because beaches are somewhat limited, and there's only so much room on the beaches for people, especially if you want to keep a safe distance from other people. But certainly there's lots of outdoor activities you can enjoy. I'm happy to say that the campgrounds are also opening up, which is good. That's a great way to get out and enjoy the summer. Let's get some coffee, shall we? Because what is a flight without... Oh, thank you, you're the best. What's a flight without coffee, right? But yeah, I find that it's nice. We're planning on going camping later in the year, because it's a great way to get out of the house, explore nature, just enjoy some time away. And it's a very low contact way of getting away too. I mean, campgrounds can be a little bit crowded, but generally campsites are spaced far enough apart that just inherently by themselves, the campsites are, you know, socially distant. That they're far enough apart that you can maintain a social distance from other people. The only place where it really becomes an issue at campsites usually is facilities, is washrooms, shower facilities if they have them. Which I believe most of the campgrounds are leaving the shower facilities closed for the time being, which is fine. Which is, you know, that's what I would kind of expect at this point. You got to have washrooms. You can't just have people peeing in the bush. You could, but it wouldn't be very sanitary by the time you get to, you know, mid-August and you've had dozens of people on each campsite. But I'm happy to say that that's kind of that the campsites are open, because that's I enjoy that. I always enjoy going out and doing some camping and just enjoying some time away from home, some time really just getting back to peace and quiet of nature. We live in such a digital, always on, always stimulated world that it's nice to take that stimulus away and just spend some time in among the trees and just getting back to nature. So I'm glad that, you know, we're having a really nice summer, and we can really get out and enjoy that a lot, because it really is something that we all should be doing more. I wouldn't say we're exactly glamping, but we go car camping with the kids. We don't do backcountry camping or anything. We go camping with the kids. It's something it's just good to get them out of the house. I don't think they would have the patience for backcountry camping and a long hike in, a long hike out. It's the nice thing about car camping is you can sort of really adjust the pace to how everyone is doing. You don't have set goals. You have to make it to a certain location. You know, you're at the location as soon as you stop the car, and then you can just really sort of take it from there. So I would love to do some solid backcountry camping. I think that would be a great fun, but I'm not sure that my kids would be up for that. You know, just a long hike in, a long hike out, you know, carrying everything with you. There's transition. After takeoff checklist below the line.
After takeoff checklist below the line. Aero ref.
Standard set.
Standard set. After takeoff checklist is complete.
Yeah, I mean, we don't do like glamping like crazy, but we just do car camping. Everything's loaded in the back of the car. We set up a good tent on our campsite. We even have a shelter for the picnic table now, just to keep the bugs away, so that you can actually have like a meal in peace at sunset or whatever, without being eaten alive by mosquitoes. But that also depends on the campsite too. And the thing is, like, we try to go to different campsites, like a different park every single time we go camping. We try not to repeat anything, so we don't know. You don't know where the good sites are. You don't know what a particular campsite or a particular park is like, whether it has a high bug population or not. So you kind of want to be a little bit prepared for that. So yeah, so we're very much car camping. You know, just drive to the campground, unpack the tent, set up the sleeping bags in there, and then go do something. Go hiking. Go down to the beach and just swim. For us, it's partly fun and adventure, but part of it is let's just go get away, do something kind of quiet and relaxing. No big pace. No really rushed pace. That's one thing. When I tend to go on vacation, when I tend to travel, I like to see lots of things and do lots of things, because you don't have opportunities to be in these places very often. My wife hates it a lot of the time. She thinks I don't understand the meaning of the word vacation. So when we do camping, it really is, I think, just a vacation. I'm happy to just sit around the campground and just talk and play games and whatnot. Don't feel the need to get out and do too much stuff usually. So I am looking forward to that. I think that's going to be great. It's going to be fun. It's going to be just nice to get out of the house. We've barely left the house for weeks, and especially with the kids. The kids have barely left the house in months. The farthest we've gone is basically we've biked to the ice cream store a couple times, and that's been, I think, the farthest the kids have gone in months from their house. Really. And in the digital age, I don't think they mind that much. It's a sad thing. Like, they don't mind being at home a lot and just being able to watch TV and even just play around. I think they're still enjoying it, but I think they will be. I think they secretly will be happy to go back to school. They may not admit it, but they'll be happy to go back and at least spend some time with their friends and get away from the house. It's not nice to be at home too, but you can only spend so much time at home, I think, too. And since we're not doing things, we're not even going to stores, even going to the mall sometimes can be a bit of a break, but we're not even doing that anymore. So I think the kids will be happy to go back to school, even if they won't admit it now. Now, why do I not see a top of climb marked on here? Yeah, we do have cruise flight level 320. I don't even see a top climb marked on here. Are we really not going to get to top of climb for 200 miles? Wow. We could always help it out. Maybe it's just because we're climbing kind of slowly. We're climbing 1,000 feet per minute now. It's dropped off. She's a bit of a heavy bird. It's hot too. These airplanes do not like to perform when it's hot. ISA plus 13, yeah. When you start to get in the upper levels of the atmosphere, especially, if you notice, anything much over ISO plus 10, a lot of airplanes start to have pretty anemic performance when you get to higher levels. This one is just, she's really dogging it here, climbing 1,000 feet per minute, going through 230, and we're heavy, but we're not. I don't think we're that ridiculously heavy. We got 188 people. I mean, it's not light by any means, and we had nearly a full tank of gas, but still, I don't think we're that full. But she's just climbing like a dog. So, I mean, you can take over if you want. I'm tempted to do it. I'm tempted to sort of switch to an open climb, maybe. Or even not even switch to the open climb, but just bring the speed back a couple of knots here, just to help get us leveled out there a little faster. I don't know. Sometimes it's nice to just help the airplane out a little bit, just get it, stop it struggling in its climb, and just let it get to altitude sooner than later. I like that you can override the speed on the Airbus. That's one thing that I think Airbus does do well. Their you know, their guidance panel overall, I like the format of it. It took a little getting used to the whole idea of the open climb, managed climb kind of idea, but now that I'm used to it, I do like it. I think it's I think that's something that they have done well. And I compare that to some of the airplanes. The one that I think I like the least is the 717. The guidance panel on the 717 just feels like it's a Mickey Mouse Tonka toy guidance panel. It's so simplistic, you can barely do anything with it. It's very, very simplistic, and I don't like that. I don't like that in the guidance panel. I like pilots to have control, have the ability to do multiple things. You never know what ATC, what combination of things ATC is going to ask you to do. So having a good guidance panel, I think, is very useful. And the Airbus one is good. You can do all sorts of really useful things with it. You can have everything running in managed mode, but you can take any one component out of managed mode, and the other ones will still remain in managed mode. But you can take one component away from managed mode and let it try to you know, and take some control back from the airplane, and that's good. That's really good. She is just a heavy bird, I think. Because she just does not want to climb. If we were to, so it's going to take us supposedly 120. Why does it say 310 is selected? Oh, 310, sorry, selected. Yeah, predicted to 320 at a cost since it's 24. It's going to be 1452 Zulu. Yeah, another 15 minutes there. 130 miles. If we were to expedite, we could get there in 54 miles and be there in 5 or 6 minutes. Yeah, she's falling off to 700 feet per minute now. She's just not going to climb here. And I thought it was like a glitch. I thought it was missing, but no, it's just so far downstream our top of climb. $120, 150 miles downstream. Wow, almost JFK before you level off. Let's just make sure we're not going to hit anybody else. I'm going to check my VAT spy over here on my other screen just quickly. And we will have to call New York Center. Still appears to be online, so we'll have to talk to New York Center for a little bit here, and then we'll head out to sea. So here's our routing today. So it's pretty much straight south till we get to New York, then a hard left to get through the area right around JFK, and then it's a straight shot almost south all the way to San Juan. For a second I forgot where we were going. But when you start to think about it, like, it's amazing that pilots don't forget where they're going more often sometimes. You do, especially if you're doing regional flying, you may be doing 3, 4, 5 flights in a day, and it's easy to forget what flight you're on. At least the pilots have the luxury of looking out the window. Flight attendants especially, I feel a lot of pity for the flight attendants, because they have no windows. They have, you know, there's the jump seats are usually seated next to the exit doors, and the exit doors will usually have one little window that is smaller than your fist for them to look out of, and that's mostly just for emergency purposes. So, you know, they'll pull up to an airport and they will have no idea what airport they're at. They could say anything on the PA, welcome to Toronto, and you could be in Montreal, and They may just forget what leg they're on because they've done 4 legs and they're tired and they can't see anything out the window. If they could see out the window, they might recognize the airport. They might know what airport they're at. But yeah, I find it funny. Flight attendants oftentimes will have no idea where you are because they can't see anything, and that makes sense. It totally does. But you know, I'm used to the pilot's perspective. You get a really good view out here. You know exactly where you are. But the flight attendants, it's like they're sitting in a metal tube with no windows. Their part of the metal tube has no windows. That metal tube could be anywhere, and they would not know. So no surprise if they make a mistake once in a while and say, "Oh, welcome to." Wait, where are we? Can someone please look out the window and tell me what the sign says on the airport out there? Anyways, just gonna try to get us leveled off here in cruise shortly, and then we will chat about or do a little demonstration, a little hands-on demonstration there of Sim Toolkit Pro version 0.6, because it's getting slicker and smoother. There's been a few issues now. It seems like they've been resolved, but that's the way software works. It's not like this is mission-critical software. It's nice when it works. I would like it to work better, but it's not the end of the world if it doesn't. Alright, I'm going to throw this back to managed mode for the airplane here and let it just manage it, because now it's switched to Mach number, yeah. Mach 7.7. We didn't bring a whole lot of extra fuel, but I'm just curious if we bump up the... let's see here, expected fuel on board 4.8. Now let me just see, what are the reserves today? Just because it is a 4-hour flight, and maybe we can cut back on that flight by a little bit. SDQ 2.2. That's 3.5. 3.6 are our reserves, so we got an extra 1,000 kilos to play with. Again, let's bump up the cost index. Chief pilot is gonna hate me. I guess 99 is the top cost index I can have on this airplane. 4.3, that still is a little over, so. And it says we're going to get there at about quarter after 18 Zulu. 18 Zulu, so. Of course, that slowed our climb rate even more. We're going to stick to Mach 7.7. What does flex temp mean versus toga? It's an excellent question. Flex temp is it's a bit of a complicated topic. Basically, what it comes down to is with the FADEC system, with the full authority digital engine control system, basically that controls the power that's coming out of the engine. The amount of power you can get out of a turbine engine depends on a bunch of things, but it mostly depends upon air density. Kind of determines the maximum power you can get out of a turbine engine. The thinner the air is, the less dense the air is, the less power you can get out of it. The biggest, of course, the biggest example is exactly what's happening right now. Is that as we get higher up in the atmosphere and the air gets thinner, we're putting out less and less thrust because the air is thin. We're still pushing a lot of air through the engine, but because the air is thinner, there's less volume of air. We can't push as much air through the engine, so it's you know, we have less performance. So hence we're climbing at a very slow rate, even though the engines are still turning at almost the highest speed. There's just not enough air in front of the engines for them to compress to push out the back of the engine. So, but at sea level or at your takeoff level, anyways. Normally the engines will measure the density in terms of pressure and also temperature, and as the air gets warmer, you can, again, you have thinner air, you have less thrust, less maximum thrust you can put out of the engine. And so what the engine does is, of course, it adjusts the fuel flow to match that air density, so it gets the perfect ideal air-fuel combustion ratio. But as the air gets thinner and as the air gets hotter, it has to do that. So what a flex temp does, basically a flex temp tells the engine that it's warmer, that it tells the engine computer to pretend that it's warmer than it actually is. And so what the engine computer does is it provides less thrust. It assumes that the air is actually 46 degrees and adjusts the engine thrust and the engine fuel flow as if it was 46 degrees when actually it's 20 degrees outside. And all that does is that just simply reduces the amount of power and the amount of fuel that's being generated. So that's what the flex temp is, or the assumed, in Boeing I believe it's called the assumed temperature. So yeah, you manually put in a temperature that's higher than it actually is, and the engine will then produce less thrust because the engine, the FADEC is, you're telling the FADEC act like it's this temperature, and it just reduces the thrust. So that there's calculations done to make sure that it still is more than enough thrust to get off the runway, but we just burn a little bit less fuel. We also save a lot of wear and tear on the engines by not running them right up to maximum 100% power, but running them at 95 or 90. That actually substantially reduces the wear. You get more wear on the couple of minutes of takeoff power than you often get from most of the rest of the flight. So if you can reduce that power setting at takeoff even a little bit, that helps. So Toga is just full power versus flex temp is exactly that. It's whatever flex temp you've entered into your performance. Can I even do it? I can't even do. Oh, can I do takeoff phase just to show you? Yes, I can. Yeah. So today we had the temperature outside was 30 something degrees, 31 degrees or something, but we told the computer think it's 36 degrees and give a thrust setting for that. And so that's where most of the time we want to be and in the Airbus it's done with the detents. So there's 3 detents at the front. There's climb power, which is where we spend most of the flight, but there's also flex temp. So climb power again is just a maximum climb power. It's a lot less than, well, it's not a lot less, but it's less than maximum takeoff power, but it's a power setting that allows you to run continuously. Set manage speed. Thank you, airplane. There we are, now we're level. So climb power is a lower power setting. As you can see, it's topped out at 93 something here, and it just, of course, for air density and altitude, so the higher you get, the lower the maximum climb power will be. The flex temp will allow us to use whatever flex temp we have there, and then Toga is maximum power from the engine. So if something happens during the takeoff and we cannot, something happens, maybe there's wind shear or something's going wrong, we have an engine failure, then instead of being at the flex, we can then bump the thrust levers up to Toga, and we will get maximum power out of the engine for whatever length of time we need it before we bring it back to a lower power setting. So we can manually select to go back to Toga if something's happening. We just have to go click to the next detent. And most other airplanes will have something similar. The Airbus auto throttle system is very different from most of the other auto throttle systems. But in the Boeing ones, you've got the same basic idea. You'll normally fly the flex temp, whatever you programmed in, but at any point in time, you can manually push right past that flex temp to the Toga, to the maximum takeoff power, and get that power if you need it for whatever reason. If you're stalling, or if there's wind shear, or you need to avoid traffic or terrain or something like that. At any point in time, you can push up the Toga, and Toga is maximum power that the airplane can get. So it's not very good for the engines in terms of wear and tear. But I mean, if you needed to avoid terrain, it's better to put a little bit more wear and tear in the engines than crash into a hillside and destroy the engines. So that Toga is always there and always available should you need it. But the idea is to try and use the lowest power settings you can get away with in flight, because they will reduce wear and tear on the engine in the long run. Even the Boeings have different climb power settings. They'll have climb, then they'll have climb 1 and climb 2. Each one of them being a little bit lower max thrust than the previous one, but at the cost of lower performance. So in the Boeing, you'll see when you do select a certain takeoff power setting that it would usually select an equivalent climb power setting. So if you select takeoff 2 in the Boeing, which is 22,000 pounds in the 37, it'll automatically switch to climb 2, so that you're running at a lower climb setting as well, because there's no point in saving the engine at the takeoff, and then actually when you hit climb power, it actually goes back to a higher power setting. It's all about efficiency in terms of saving fuel, but especially when you're talking about these power settings, takeoff power settings, is really about saving wear on the engines. That is the name of the game, because these engines are not cheap. These engines are a couple $1 million a piece, easily. You don't want to wear them out prematurely. Our company has a pretty strict policy about using the lower climb power setting now. Unless there is an overriding concern, we've been told pretty explicitly, do not use high power climb, use the low power climb. We have climb 1 and climb 2. And we've been told don't use climb 1 unless it's absolutely necessary for some reason. Of course, emergencies or whatever, they won't care, but on a daily basis, there should be almost no reason to use climb 1. We always use climb 2 because they found that it was having a huge impact on the wear of the engines when they started trying to use climb 1 a bit more to try and make things more efficient, and they found that the amount of wear in the engines was going up so quickly that it was not efficient at all. So they said, do not use climb 1, which is the more powerful climb, unless you absolutely have to. Climb 2 is the norm, it should be used. Climb 1 should not be used on a daily basis. It's pretty much, I won't say it's for emergencies only, but you have to have a pretty good justification for it anyways. Alright, I'm going to tune in New York Center now, because I think we're going to start getting close here. So New York Center's on 2532. And then I'll show off some of these new features of SimToolkit Pro. Let's see, where are we here? I want stations. Let's see here, that's Tony Salas. New York Center, good morning. Transat 640, flight level 320.
Transat 640, New York Center, good morning.
Good morning, just with you about 25 miles south of Albany.
Transat 640, roger that, squawk 7151.
7151 coming in, Transat 640. There's 7151. Hope that was loud enough.
Transat 640, ready to contact as support flight level 320.
Thank you. And that sounded like it was really quiet, so I may try to turn up just the... That's an audio a bit there. Because that sounded like that was really quiet. Anyways, now we're with New York at 320. And then when we hit JFK, we gotta hit the eastbound altitude. Alright, so the one thing I did want to show you guys this morning was, as I said, last week, it's been kind of in the testing phase for a little while, but last week they officially released SimToolkit Pro version 0.6, and already they're up to 0.6.9. Even just since I updated last week, there was already another update patch released. So, just thought I'd walk through a little bit of what's different now, and it's not, again, it's not substantially changed, but there are some things that have changed a little bit in 0.6. And that sounds like it's a little better now. There are some things that have changed here. So the dashboard's changed a little bit now. As you can see, there's only one live map now, so they've switched to version 2 of the live map. The version 1 has been completely eliminated now, which I'm fine with. Not a whole lot has changed here. There is one neat thing that they did do here. So let me just, first of all, let me just get rid of follow me here. And let's just go back to Montreal for a second here. One thing they did that was really neat, that I really do like, is they added taxi. And it should, there it is. Once you're zoomed in enough, it actually shows you the taxi routes on the airport on the movie map, and it will even show you moving around this map. You can see here's where we started, and here's the route we actually took and pushed back and followed the taxi lines down there. So it's labeled everything. It's labeled the runways. It's labeled the taxiways, apron lanes. Basically everything that's defined in the AFCAD files is labeled here, which I just think is that's a really neat feature. So a really nice moving map feature. You know, if you don't have Navigraph, if you've got Navigraph, then you can also use those taxi charts as well for moving. But this is also neat because this is loaded from your AFCADs. So it can show you what's going on with your AFCADs, and if something's outdated or mislabeled or something's just not right, you can see how that comes together. So I like that. That is a neat little update. Other than that, the other styles are all pretty much the same as they were before. You can do satellite if you want, or terrain. I like terrain better, I think. Not too much else changed on the movie map, but I did like that. That I thought was a really nice new feature. The flight planning page has updated a little bit now. There's more. Okay, I can't show you here because the flight's in progress, which is a shame. But what they did before the flight's in progress is they have added a wealth of ways to input a flight plan. So it doesn't look like this when you haven't loaded a flight plan. It doesn't look like this. Then there's a different way. The screen looks different, but there's a whole bunch of different things, including even just dragging and dropping a flight plan file in there. You can still load from SimBrief, PFPX, or whatever your favorite flight planning features are, but you can also, like I said, just drag and drop a flight plan file in here. And there's also, it's a shame I can't show you, but if I reset this now, then it's not going to track my flight. But the other thing it's also got that it doesn't do anything yet. It's just a dummy head that just shows you what's coming up. But they do have a flight generation feature that's going to come to your flight planning page, and based on whatever parameters you select, it will just randomly pick a flight for you to fly, like just an origin and a destination for you to fly. So that's really neat. I don't know if you've ever noticed this before, but as you scroll through your flight plan list, it'll actually show you all the fixes. It'll center on whatever fix you've highlighted here. Really neat stuff you can do on the flight planning pages here. No approach, no transition, no stars selected, no SIDS. Actually, I just noticed that there's no airplane selected here, so let's make sure that we update that. That's another thing that you can actually now do on the flight planning page while you're in flight, and this is nice too now. I don't believe you could do that before, where you could change stuff while you were in flight, but now you can change stuff in flight. The flight summary page is more or less the same as it was before. I don't believe that this was here before, though. You now have access to departure and arrival charts. I don't know if it might not work for Canada. I think no, it doesn't work for Canada. But FAA charts anyways. I imagine eventually that it's going to work for more. But FAA charts for your departure and your destination, and a fully interactive chart viewer that you can use. So again, if you don't have Navigraph, this can be a really useful tool because it just loads everything. You load the flight plan, and it loads all this stuff for you. And you can just you can pull it up pretty darn easily. So I like that. You'll notice that the menu bar is different now.
120.8, take care.
To me, some of the more useful features are now right on here. So, like, I like my fleet page. I go to my fleet page a lot. My logbook. You can go directly into these things from the menu bar. I think that's great. I think they've made it a little bit more useful. Some of the most important, most useful stuff is now in this menu bar, whereas before it used to be sort of buried off the menu bar. So I think this is also useful. Speaking of the fleet page, neat stuff on the fleet page happening now.
Cathay 353, leaving airspace to the north, Boston Center offline, rate of service is terminated, frequency change to advisory is approved, you have a good day.
Now I can't seem to maximize this anymore.
Cathay 353, you still here?
Nope.
Cathay 353.
There are still some glitchy things happening here. I can't seem to get what I want now. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Just trying to find that. Okay, there we go. So we can go to the fleet page. And one thing you'll notice up here in the corner now, we did not have before, but now it's been done. I suggested this, I'm sure I'm not the only one, is that you can sort your fleet page based on all sorts of criteria now. So you can sort it by registration, starting right through here, or you can sort it by hours, or you can sort it by location. So here's all my Canadian airplanes. There's one in Ottawa, one in Sudbury, Montreal, Val-d'Or, Vancouver, Calgary. So it makes it a little bit easier to find, you know, perhaps you want to fly out of a certain airport and you're curious which airplanes in your fleet are there. You can sort of sort through, so I can see all the airplanes that are in various American locations. I can see all the airplanes that are in Canadian airports. I like to use the hours one because I tend to like to sort of fly whatever's got the lowest hours. I sort of use that as my criteria. Let's go fly that airplane again. I haven't flown it recently, obviously, if it doesn't have any hours on it. Let's fly that one. So I'm happy that they added that ability to sort the fleet. That is really good. One thing I noticed is that there's now a map on here, but it doesn't... it doesn't, for each airplane, it doesn't just have those flights, but I have a feeling like that's coming. Because they have the map page here on each logbook page, I have a feeling that they just have to work on screening out only the flights for this airplane, but then you're going to have the ability to pick the flight for that airplane. As it is, you can see I've got the logbook here. Now I can also sort this logbook, which was also a problem before. For anybody who imported logbooks from, what was the predecessor I was using before? I can't even think what it's called now. But anyways, wherever you imported your logbook from, if it imported stuff out of order, you know, whatever order it was in the database was the order it showed up here in your logbook. Now, this is sortable as well. Simple but effective additions here. I can't even think what the stupid thing was called. What I was using before, SimToolkit Pro. Anyways, now you've got your logbook right there. You can have the full map and everything, visited locations. This doesn't do anything yet, but I guess they've got some plans in mind now. Things being added little by little. So I showed you the logbook as well here. Again, your logbook is sortable. Most people usually want newest first or oldest first, so you can see it in order, but you may also have, you know, shortest first. Oh, let's see what my shortest flights are. The ones that have logged 0 hours because things were not imported correctly. Let's go longest first. Longest is probably an Emirates flight. San Francisco to London Heathrow is actually the longest one I've done so far, even the Emirates flights. So this is 357, so I'm not sure what's going on with this. Some of the data that's imported from the other logbook system is not as accurate either, and that's another problem with this. But I mean, they're doing what they can with it. You've still got the ability to sort through scheduled flights, real-world flights. So let's say I wanted to find out who's flying from Toronto to Chicago. And then you can still screen it out, dispatch schedule, all that good stuff. Landing reports as well. It still records all of your landings. You can see when you've done well and when you haven't. I've done some good, some not so good. I won't claim to be perfect at this. All this other stuff is still about the same. Not everything has changed, but there have been some neat updates that I do like. There's quick links to support Discord down here. There's even a little RAM and CPU monitor here, which I kind of like. That's kind of cute, because I do find that this can be an intensive program, especially when you're running something like the map mode. Now instead of 3%, now we're doing 725%. We're definitely doubling, tripling the consumption, but obviously the movie map does use a lot of resources to keep updating everything. That's why I don't usually leave it on the movie map page when I'm not running the software. But it's nice to sort of have that in there. It's a nice, neat little feature. But I think the best things that have been updated are, I think that taxi chart is really useful. I think that the ability to sort the fleet page, as simple as that is a very useful feature. The charts, having the charts available here in your flight summary, that's also really good. So lots of good stuff coming into SimToolkit Pro, and it's not done by any means. It's going to continue. It's going to continue in development for quite a while. New York Transat 640, request step climb 330.
Transat 640, climb flight level 330.
Climb 330, Transat 640. There we go, 330, climb. And away we go. And I believe we'll be in New York airspace until we pretty much make our turn back to the south there in about another 100 miles. Let's just, let's see here.
New York Center, good afternoon, American 85.
The live map again will show us.
American 8553, New York Center, good morning. Cross Cameron, and maintain 11000.
Actually, I don't think we even have to go that far.
3012.
Or do we? See, I don't think this is quite accurate because I don't think New York's... This is New York Oceanic, this is New York domestic.
American 8553, I know they gave the handoff a little late, so if it's, if you're not going to make that restriction, don't worry about it.
Let's see here. Yeah, actually, I think probably around Rescue, by the looks of it. I'm just looking at the VAT Spy window here and kind of comparing the two now. I think around Rescue is where we're going to end up.
Transat 640, contact the Boston Center 134.7. Talk to you in a little bit.
Okay, Boston on 34.7, Transat 640. Boston, huh? Alright. I was just going to say, I noticed Boston came online after we flew through their airspace, but I guess we're not out of it yet.
Canada 523, Portland, Carson Province, altimeter 3019, expect the visual approach to runway 23.
Roger, we'll expect a visual runway 23, Air Canada.
I have managed speed already, but anyways. Boston Center, get morning Transat 640, flight level 330.
Transat 640, Boston Center, hook.
Alright. So we'll be with Boston for a little bit, then we'll switch back to New York, and then when we get to Rescue in about 200 miles, we'll be back to, basically 200 miles, we'll be back to the Unicom by then. So that's basically all I had to talk about, was just a little show off of SimToolkit Pro 0.6. I think it's good software. I think it's the development is happening really well. The features that are being added are generally working quite well. I will say that previous to versions 0.6.9, there were some issues. I had problems where nothing would log automatically. Even though the logbook, the flight tracking feature would be running, and it would seem to recognize that the flight had ended. Once the flight had ended and you'd supposedly hit save on your logbook entry, it would never appear in your logbook, so it wouldn't get actually written to the logbook, which was a bit of a shame, because otherwise it was it's a minor yet crucial oversight if your logbook information does not get written to your logbook. It seems like that's been fixed. Now that was, I think, 0.6.7 or 8 I was running, but it seems like in 0.6.9 that issue has now been fixed. So as I said, like, the one thing I like about the software is it does have a very steady update rate, generally 1 to 2 updates per week. Somewhere here, if I click on something, I'm pretty sure I can see the thought there was a way to see the list of latest fixes, but maybe not.
Target 720, runway 11, taxi by Alpha.
Oh well.
1 Bay Alpha, American 720.
Oh, no big deal. But yeah, that was one thing that it wasn't working there for a little bit, but it looks like they fixed it up now. So the automatic logbook tracking was not working for a small period of time there, but you know, within 3 days of me having downloaded the 0.6 version, the the newest update, it got automatically updated. So with the 0.6 version, because it's a whole new version, you have to go back and download directly from the website to update it. But once you do that, then it again, the automated updates resume, and you don't even know it's updated. You just see it at the end of the day and you say, oh look, it is updated. What do you know? I just realized that this never got updated. Ugh. That I
640, contact New York Center 125.32.
Back to New York 125.32 for Transat 640. Good day.
Air Canada 5.
Reach 29 Tango, contact Washington Center 1.
I just realized that all this information on my streaming screen here was not properly updated. And New York Transat 640 is back with you, flight level 330.
Transat 640, New York Center, roger.
I did not update all my streaming status there. Now it's better. Sorry about that, guys. I don't think anybody else noticed, so obviously it wasn't that crucial, but just the information there, the destination and origin were not totally correct at the bottom, but problem solved. These things happen. So what else is new? Just trying to think if there's anything for people who are into games at all. Steam is having their summer sale, and there are definitely some good games on sale there. I recently picked up Stellaris just just for something. I was looking for something that was a little bit of a long-term strategic game, 4X game, and I personally remember playing the original Civilization when I was probably 10-ish, 10, 11, 12-ish maybe. I can still remember playing the original version of Civilization, and I still think that original version was still one of the best in terms of being one of the most balanced games. It was possible to win, but it was not easy. It required a lot of effort, and yeah, I still remember Civilization as being a great game. You know, even though it was obviously the graphics were super simplistic back in the 1990s. I mean, I was playing on probably like a 486 or a 386 or something like that. I don't remember what computer I was playing on, but I just remember playing that game, and that was one of the first really good games. It was so well balanced, and I had a yearning for that again, for that level of discovery of such a new game. So that's why I got into Stellaris. It was $10. It's on sale on Steam for $10. So I said, you know, I can't really go wrong for that, anyways. And if I don't like it, well, then I won't play it. But I've put quite a few hours into it, and the exploration phase, it's really. I finally met a whole bunch of different spacefaring civilizations now, and suddenly I've unlocked a map of the galaxy, and I realized that they have about 20 different civilizations that I'm competing with, I guess, out there. But I seem to have a fairly isolated niche. It seems like a lot of the rest of them have already sort of reached their borders, are directly against their. Was he calling us?
Scandinavian 904,
no.
Contact Boston Center 134.7 today.
1347, Scandinavian 904. Thank you. You too.
Yeah, that reached the end of our
American 8553.
the end of their ability to expand. They were basically right against their neighbors, and I seem to have quite a lot of room left to expand. So I'm still quite curious to see how this goes. There's been no warfare yet of any kind. It really we're just solidly in an expansion phase at this point. But I'm enjoying it. It's nice to have a new game. I like that sense of exploration, of not being able to see what's out there in the map and not knowing, and then you have to go and find and try and lay claim to as much of the universe as possible.
643, Roger, thank you.
It's a good game anyways. Steam's having their summer sale, so there's quite a lot of good games on sale right now if you're interested in them at all.
643 across Troy.
And similarly, there are quite a few good summer sales here and in the Flight Sim world as well. Flightbeam is having a sale, 35% off all their scenery. And Latin VFR, I think their sale, they had a 4th of July sale. I think that's over and done with now. And trying to think, who is it? FlySimware, I think, is having a sale on all their aircraft, 40% off, and they have some pretty good high-end airplanes there. Any chance of making some emotes? It's something I've thought about. It's more just a question of time. Do I think that it's worth? It's really off topic. Yes, you completely halted my train of thought there. It's not something I wouldn't consider it like a high priority. Anyways, that's kind of what I'm trying to say, is that it's not something that's high on my list of priorities of things to do right now. I may start to do it. I mean, my Twitch channel is starting to catch on a little bit. It seems like I'm having regular viewers more often than not, although I will say it's my own fault because I don't stream with any kind of regular schedule, but just whenever I can seem to be able to do it. So I'm not it's something that I've thought about. I won't say I haven't thought about. I definitely thought about it, but it's just a question of just finding some time to do it, and also coming up with a theme, I guess, if you will, to make it worthwhile. I've seen some of the other people's channels, and maybe I can just throw my icon over some otherwise standard emoticons or something, just to kind of something. It's I'm thinking about it. And the fact that you've asked has made me now think that okay, maybe it is worth doing. People will actually get some use out of it. Because the other thing is, of course, you don't want to put effort into something that people are not going to utilize, right? It takes time to make these things, and I'm not against you know, having a little bit of fun. But if I didn't think anybody was going to make any use of it, I wouldn't bother doing it, right? So that's a really long answer. For the current answer is I don't know. I haven't. Yeah, I thought about it. I wasn't really planning on doing it, but the fact that you're asking about it makes me think that maybe it's worth doing. Maybe that some people will find some joy and use out of them. So if that's the case, then maybe it's worth it. So I will have to look into it. I don't want to spend my time on my on my stream, you know, reading. It's okay. I don't mind halting my train of thought to actually have chats with people, because there's quite a I can never find enough things to talk about, so I'm happy to have someone ask a question that I can then answer, because I never have enough things to talk about. What I was talking about was just there's a few good sales, and FlySimware was the one I was looking at. They make a Falcon 50, which is quite a nice looking airplane. One that I would definitely consider as a business jet, as a biz jet aircraft. And FlySimware has a pretty good reputation for not only making decent air products, but also having a steady course of improvement on them, and that's something I think too. I find some airplane designers, another one that has a sale on right now, they tend to not do too much to improve. They sort of launch a product, and if it's got bugs in it, they just sort of, you know, shrug their shoulders and say, well, you know, take it or leave it. And FlySimware has a bit of a reputation for, you know, constant improvement, so that's something that that is a detailed interior in this airplane. just to look at that video, it's a pretty detailed interior that they've got going on.
American 8553, New York.
Makes me want to fly on business jets and not just in the front.
Right heading 180, maintain 3000.
It looks like they've got the older Falcon 50 design, but nevertheless, like, could be a fun airplane to fly.
And American 8553, are you able to fly the RNAV Zulu approach?
And that's one that I'm always sort of looking for. I'm looking for aircraft, like, I like aircraft that look good, but I would rather have, to me, systems integrity, systems depth is more important than having a really good exterior model. And as you guys have seen from my stream, I spend 90% of my time flying in the flight deck. I don't spend a whole lot of time staring at the airplane from the outside. I do tend to look at it from time to time just to enjoy it and see it, but I tend to spend most of my time in the flight deck. So to me, more important than a realistic exterior model or, you know, fancy doodads on the interior is to have a really good system depth. Systems work together the way they're supposed to. The navigation systems especially work properly. Aircraft that utilize like the default GPS just don't do it for me. The Falcon 50 would be a fun one, because that's an airplane that also has a really good range too. Really good range, really good short field performance too. You can easily take off and land on a 4,000 foot runway on this with a Falcon 50. So because it's a tri-jet, your you know, your engine failure profile on a Falcon 50 is much better than it would be on any kind of a twin business jet. So the Falcon 50 would be one that I think would be a very fun airplane, because it's flexible too. That's the one thing about airliners versus biz jets. Biz jets are kind of fun because they are much more flexible in terms of destinations. If you want to be relatively realistic with your airliner flying, you end up often flying very limited routes to certain airports all the time. Biz jets are much more likely to explore smaller, out-of-the-way places that you may or may not otherwise get a chance to visit. So you can pretty much visit any airport in a business jet, and you know, you can call that realistic, if you will. Whereas, you know, me flying my Airbus A320, there's probably only, maybe 300, 400, 500 airports around the world that you might fly a 320 into, whereas with a business jet or even a smaller aircraft, you're talking more like 10,000 airports that you might visit. So, it's something that I definitely, I like flying business jets, but I haven't found one that I find that that just does justice. I don't even like flying any of the airliners that are not terribly realistic. There's a few out there that are pretty, I hate to use the word cheap, but amateur airlines. And again, I'm not trying to be rude to the developers, I think, but, you know, for me, that's just not my thing. I definitely would much rather have a much more realistic systems depth, a much more realistic navigation system in most cases. Occasionally I like to go out and putter around in something like a 172 and just fly, and just hand fly for a little bit, and that's fun once in a while, but most of the time I certainly would rather have that systems depth, like I said. I'm just looking at a selection of emotes that people have now. Top emotes, 6.2 million uses. I'm probably not gonna. I'm not enough of a graphic designer to do that either. Anyways, just trying to think what else. Any other? There's not really like any spectacular sales certainly right now for summer. Although like Steam has some good sales. In the flight sim world, nothing spectacularly on sale. Nothing that's like a showstopper that you have to have right now. But there are definitely quite a few summer sales on. I feel like though my scenery collection has reached a critical mass where I don't even have time to fly to the airports I've got anymore, let alone add more to my collection. I'm trying to think of other things that are more that I will get more return on my investment, if you will. I will get more use out of. Maybe is the best way to put it, because there is a lot. You could spend a lot of time and money on scenery. If you only visit an airport once or twice, is it really worth what you spent on that airport? Chances are the answer is no. And some places scenery is very reasonably priced too, so you don't feel as obligated. Like if you spend $30 on an airport, you tend to want to visit it multiple times to get your money's worth. Whereas if you only spend $5 on an airport, or you get a free airport, you don't even care if you visit it too much at that point. But in terms of getting, bang for your buck at this point, I think a few things that would probably come better would probably be more spending time, I think, improving my desk, as it were. As I think I mentioned in a previous stream, talking about rebuilding my desk to be a little bit more useful as a flight sim pit. The desk I have right now is just not ergonomic. It's not well designed at all. It was designed with a much smaller room in mind when it was originally built years ago. Wow, probably 15 years ago this desk was built. So it's had plenty of life use, and it might be time to move on to something better. So I'm looking at different ways, and probably the biggest thing is a keyboard, is like an articulating keyboard stand that I can then move the keyboard in front of and away from the control column, so I can have the keyboard in front of me when I want to play a game that is more keyboard based. If I want to play like a first-person game of any kind where you tend to use the keyboard a lot, I'd like to have it more in front of me than it is right now, where it's sort of off to one side, and it's kind of awkward to kind of use these things. I end up with arms pointed in two totally separate directions, trying to have one on the keyboard and one on the mouse. So I'm not. I'm looking at different ways of rebuilding it. It's something that probably won't happen this summer because I've got a whole bunch of other home improvement projects on this summer, but at some point I would like to do it.
Air China 3087, leaving airspace to the West Cleveland Center offline. Rate of services terminated. Frequency change advised.
But yeah, in terms of investment, I think a new webcam would be a much better use of my money at this point, because you can get some very, you can get some very. This camera that I've been using here for streaming is quite old. I just happened to get it back out of storage and pick it up again, but it is It is quite old. So I've been looking at, and you don't have to spend all that much to get like a really decent webcam these days. So I've been looking at that. The other thing that sort of right off the top of my head that I think would be useful would be, a radio, the Logitech radio tuner. Radio panel, whatever you want to call it. This. Have this on your flight deck, because then, and I just love the fact that you can have, your transponder on here as well. You can have radio frequencies. You can have everything, so you can very quickly and easily tune stuff in, because I find that's one of the things I am doing the most, is tuning in radio frequencies, especially on a busy night. That could be a real pain to reach down and try and use the mouse to do that, and maybe it's not quite on the right knob and you're turning the wrong knob. It could be a real pain, so I think that could be one of a very useful tool to add to the immersion, but also just useful in terms of getting better use out of your sim time. Certainly when you're flying an FNO or something by yourself, having that radio head there instead of having to scroll around and use the mouse can be a lot quicker for changing frequencies. You don't have to spend a whole lot of money on a webcam anyways these days. $100 will get you a pretty decent webcam without it doesn't have to be the best webcam in the world. You want something decent, but it doesn't have to be the best webcam in the world. I'm not exactly, it's going to probably mostly be a small corner of the screen here anyway, so as long as you've got like a decent device. But I think this webcam, I forget what the resolution of this webcam is, but it's ridiculously low. But it's the age of the device. Yeah, the resolution is 640 by 480. That is an old device. And even then, it's not a very good quality picture at 480p either, or at 640p either. It's a very low quality webcam, so.
United 83, what is the next waypoint you're heading to? Those are clear direct to Dulé.
Anyways.
United 83, okay, I think I see the confusion. It was supposed to be
I guess the other thing I could spend my money on if I wanted to was also upgrade into P3D version 5, which I'm happy to say is really coming into its own now. It was taking a while, and I think part of it is that the development process is still ongoing. Much like SimToolkit Pro, there's a lot of updating, tweaking, and changing going on in version 5 as we go. So it's, a lot of developers are having a little bit of trouble. PMDG especially is one that really complains a lot about it. That things are being updated too quickly, and we're trying to push an update that is P3D 5 compatible, but then they keep on updating it, and they're like up to hot. Just when they think they've got ready to push an update, then they put out a hot fix, and now we've got to readjust all of our compatibility again the second time. So it's good to see that a lot of developers are really starting to get behind it now. Majestic this week announced that the Dash 8 supports version 5, and that one is there. That's one there that also really pushes me in that direction. PMDG released an update of the 3.7, so the 3.7 is now version 5 compatible. Trying to remember who else. I think TFDI said that their 717 is version 5 compatible. The Mad Dog is version 5 compatible. So the major, I think FS Labs is now out there as well. Not that I really care that much about them, but if you're into them, I believe Aerosoft's 320 is now version 5 compatible, I think. It's hard to keep track, I'm not a version 5 user yet, so I read it, I read that it's happened, but then I
83 contact the Washington Center 1.
but then I, you know, ignore it just as quickly. I forget it in one ear and out the other because it's not something that directly affects me yet.
Over to contact Washington Center 133.72. Thank you for your services. Have a good one.
Just trying to read here. Anyways, yeah, I'm not sure. Let's see, that was a long time ago. That was April they posted that. Sorry, I'm just trying to read. I'm not even sure if this airplane, the Aerosoft Airbus, is compatible yet. But, so the A330 has been released for version 5. Still can't find if the version 5 320, 321. Alright, there's a lot of like, we're working on it topics, but I can't find one that says explicitly. Maybe if I go to the page here. Anyways. Either way, it can be said that they are definitely all moving in that direction pretty quickly now. So, you know, it's been a couple of months now since version 5 has been released, and it definitely is now gotten to the point where most of the aircraft. Yeah, it seems to say that version 5 is out now. So, anyways, like I said, I haven't been keeping careful track of this because I'm not a version 5 user yet, but it seems like the majority of the high-quality add-ons now have moved on to version 5 and are version 5 compatible, which is good. It's enough to make me say I want to consider switching. I'm not probably going to do it yet. I only just reinstalled version 4 on this computer, and what an ordeal that was, the idea of switching to version 5 now, and I probably will not keep 2 versions installed because frankly it's getting messy on my hard drive. Not messy, but my hard drive is definitely starting to fill up. My Flight Sim hard drive is definitely starting to fill up. I have a 500 gigabyte SSD.
640, leaving airspace to the south, New York radio offline. Radar services terminated. Frequency change approved. Take care.
Okay, check the radar service terminates over to Unicom now for Transat 640. Have a great day. Alright, off to Unicom. Yeah, as I was saying, like, it's... I don't think that I can have both versions of version 4 and version 5 on my computer at the same time, because at this point my version 4 folder is up to 136 gigabytes, including one external folder where most of the rest of my sim add-ons that can be hosted externally reside. That's about 38 gigabytes, so we're up to... What did I say this was? Already forgot. We're up to a lot anyways. It's amazing how these add-ons really start to add up. So we're up to about probably 170 gigabytes of sim information at this point. My 500 gigabyte hard drive as well, I've got a few games installed on there as well, so my 500 gigabyte hard drive is already half full. And I'm already contemplating buying another SSD for maybe to move the games off there and just have this one, because I've got, wow, I have 190 gigabytes of games. I don't even know what I have installed that is that taking up that much space. I see a few of the things there that are big. Most of these are not big games. What is taking up all that space? I'm gonna have to do some investigation. I have a feeling I know. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's 100 gigabytes right there. Anyways. Alright, it's amazing how quickly you can fill up hard drives nowadays, though, as well. Not just sim-wise, but, you know, in the day of modern media and everything else, where, you know, people will have all sorts of stuff stored on their hard drive. It's funny, though, because with the readily available information everywhere, I find myself no longer as inclined as I once was to have to back everything I have up, because a lot of that stuff can be downloaded again. Like your games, for example, like all your Steam games. You know, if you lose your computer or format your drive, all of your Steam stuff will be, you can download it again afterwards. You can download all your games again without worry, and that's one of the beauties of Steam, and I really do like that aspect of Steam, is just, you know, you don't have to worry about downloading your games again or backing up your games. They're just there, and whenever you're ready, they're all there. You can download them again, you know, I won't say in an instant, but anytime you want, you can download them again, so you're not hard-pressed to keep them all. So, yeah, I find that, like, in this day and age, we're not nearly so concerned with backing up everything we have, because the bandwidth we have available, everything's out there. Well, not everything, but a lot of stuff. Your personal files you'll need to back up, but you don't need to back up the programs anymore. The programs you can just download again. That's all there is to it. Alright. Well, I've been at this for a little over 2 hours now, and seeing as how there does not appear to be any more ATC online up ahead for quite a little bit here, we left New York's airspace, New York domestic airspace, and New York oceanic radio is not online. That's fine. So, we still got just a couple of we still got just like 1,000 miles straight shot over the ocean here. Not much going on here, so I think at this point gonna step out of the flight deck for a while, because need a little break. I've been talking for two hours and something straight now, so need a little break from here. Let's just have a quick little look down here at the FMS. Pull that one up there. There it is. If we look at the progress page here, no, oh sorry, this is the Airbus. Look at the final page here. So we're not going to get there till 1813, and let's just check our top of descent is in 996 miles at about 1745 UTC. So maybe at about 1730 at the latest we'll be back. It's a long time to be away, but really at this point now, we got nothing but ocean out there for 1,000 miles in front of us. There's not a whole lot going on. I don't have too much else left to talk about in the flight sim world here. I don't see too much else happening. It's summer. It seems like a lot of developers are getting quieter. I think everyone's just out there enjoying the summer. At least the Northern Hemisphere people are enjoying their summer right now, because it's a beautiful summer out there. So I think I will step away for a little bit, guys, but join me in another hour or so, and what did we say, 1745? We'll say 1735. By 1735, 10 minutes before top and drop, we'll try to be back on the flight deck, no later than that. And, yeah, we'll see you guys then. Just going to get rid of this, and of course, as always, we're going to switch to those beautiful external views, courtesy of the new and updated version of Chaseplane. And actually, before I do that, I'm just going to Just going to make sure that everything is set up in my cinematics view here as well. I'm just going to add a couple of views there, and we're going to toggle cinematics mode here. And, oh. There we go. And there's the beautiful cinematics. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Stick with me. Join me again in about an hour. I guess it's almost 2 hours from now. A little under 2 hours from now. If any ATC pops up between now and then, we'll talk to them. But otherwise, enjoy the external views. We'll be back in 2 hours for our approach and landing into San Juan. Stick with me, guys, and we'll see you then.
Still determined to push ahead. Of course. But not even halfway. Why? messed up. We can go back. I can go back.
It's all right. You'll never be alone again. You're with me now. You're with me. I have such wonderful, wonderful things to show you.
I see those eyes in my isolation, dividing lines drawn across the gray. Feel the driving winds coming over us. Say my name before I venture to the snow. These frozen feathers are all I need to let go.
Alright guys, Captain Abs is back with you once again, and as you can tell, we are still flying the Airbus A320, still on our way to San Juan, and we are almost there. We got another, a little less than 30 minutes to go by the looks of it. We're coming up to our top of descent pretty quickly here, so yeah, we're just going to have a quick look. Before I do that, I just want to say thanks to Tim for subscribing to the channel again. I do appreciate it. You didn't have to. You can watch for free. Feel free to watch for free. But I do appreciate that. My retirement's going to need all the nickels I get unless I get back to work soon. But I did get an emote thanks to that for Tim's subscription, so I now have this beautiful arm bracelet, rainbow arm bracelet emote on Twitch, and I'm going to see if I can make some custom emotes as well that I can share with some of my followers here. Before I get into anything else, since I was out of the flight deck for an extended period of time there, I am just going to have a quick little sit down here and just look through all of the flight deck parameters to make sure everything looks like it should be. So it looks like we are on course. We're just approaching Lent. We're about, looks like about 50 miles to top and drop right now. Speaking of which, I am going to just check one thing here under the options, which is to make sure that we do not have pause and top drop. No, off, good. Don't need that sudden surprise midstream. It's not really that bad if it happens anyways, but alright, so engine parameters, everything is looking in the green. Engine bleeds, everything is open, putting out some nice warm bleed air into the cabin at a fairly normal looking 45 psi, looks good. Cabin differential is looking good, no errors on this today. The inlet outlet valves are all closed. Let's see, electrical page. Yep, everything seems to be handling the load. Normal voltages, normal amperages, nothing seems crazy there. Hydraulics, everything's still operating at 3000 psi, no problemo. Fuel situation, we still got about 6,000 kilos in the tanks, and we've used 11,000, so some quick math there. 11 and 6 does add up to a little over 17, which is what we started with. Good, so it doesn't seem like we're leaking any fuel. Enter destination data. APU's not doing anything, obviously. The conditioning system's keeping everything nice and hunky-dory. Doors are all closed. Brakes are nice and cool out there and blowing in the wind. Flight controls, no failures. Everything looks happy. And that's it. Back to our cruise status page. Enter destination data, thank you. Finished my coffee a long time ago. I can probably put my tray away. No, maybe I can't. There it goes. Alright, so we're going to start looking at our arrival into San Juan here. TJSJ 31 degrees, and the winds are out of the east at 10 knots, which is pretty typical in the Caribbean, especially in Puerto Rico, seems to be almost always out of the east. So, We have two choices. I believe we have 8 and 9, or 8 and 10, something like that. I'm just going to pull up. Nope, don't do that. Do this. There we go. Remove that. And we go TJ, SJ for San Juan. There we go. That's the airport we're looking for. And I'm just curious to see if any of these... Sailor. I think we passed the fix called Sailor, or we will pass the fix called Sailor. We will pass the fix called Sailor. So it seems like we are kind of... It doesn't seem like we're on an arrival here, but at Sailor we could join an arrival, and that would probably make our lives a little bit easier. And so we're going to do that. We're going to join the Sailor arrival. The other thing we're going to do, though, is we're just going to have a look. I believe it's 8 and 10? Yes, 8 and 10 are the two runways. I have honestly got no idea where Transat would park here. I was going to look it up in a minute. That's not what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for here. ILS 08 or ILS 10. I'm just going to go with the ILS 10. I think I did the ILS 8 last time, so let's do the ILS 10. I have come here a couple times now just to test out the scenery, make sure it all works, so let's do that. So, pardon me while I just look down here and get ready for setting up the arrival here. So I'm just doing it, of course, on my FMS here on my tablet, so let's go ahead. And for some reason that volume is up when it shouldn't be, so there we go. Flight plan. Yeah, seems to have stalled. Sometimes it stalls, every once in a while you just gotta hit reload on it. TJ, SJ, arrival. So we're gonna do the ILS 10 today. And Sailor 2. No transition. And approach via. So let's just have a quick look where to... Oops. That's not what I meant to do. That's what I meant to do. Let's see here. The tenor, and then let's see where the arrival ends here. Where's my arrival? Sailor 2. It does end at tenor. Okay, so approach vias. In order to get tenor in there, I might need... I really should just bookmark this here. In order to get tenor in there, I might need the copy transition, and then I'll clean it up here. Okay, so we got Pling, Sailor, SJU. So we're going to take this Sailor. Oh, can't do that. Let's see if we can clear... No, I can't clear top of descent. That's dumb. And then we take this Sailor. Can I just clear out this discontinuity? There we go, like that. And then it ends at tenor, and then I've got the caught me again, so I gotta delete caught me, delete this DME waypoint. There, that should do it. Let's have a look at the moving map here just to make sure that that all makes sense. I might need to go into plan mode just for a second here and zoom right in. Tenor, and then it doesn't like something. Ah, I messed it up. Son of a gun. Let's see if I can change the via. Let's just see if I can do no via and see what happens in there. Tenor, and then Ramsey. Yeah, that actually worked a lot better. Okay. Alright, there we go. What am I doing here? Alright, so that's better. Performance data. Alright, let's go back. Let's just check, see, because our top of the set is probably coming up still soon. 20 miles away. Okay, we're doing okay. We're doing okay. So let's go to arrival phase, and I've got my... let's see here. On my V-pilot here, I've got information for San Juan. 31 degrees and 30 inches even. So 30 inches and 31 degrees. It's a nice warm day, but it's actually warmer, I think, in Toronto than it is in San Juan. It is a hot summer. Alright, and then the Barrow Mins. And again, Coming down here, Barrowmen's look to be 260. So we'll type in 260. And that looks good. Okay. And then we can do this. Lock this back on here again. Are you ready for the approach briefing?
Ready?
I might turn it up just a little bit because it sounds really quiet. Maybe it's just me. I need to work on the balance, I think. You know what we could do? Turn up the volume on the FS2 crew. Okay, anywho. Alright, so the speeds are in, and we'll say the distances are checked. We're going to be starting off, we're going to be joining the Sailor 2. Oh, I do have it on the kneeboard already. Oh, good, good, good. Sailor 2 RNAV arrival. Let's just take the airport info page and the parking gates page. Parking gate's already on there. I got everything here, don't I? It says it's on there, but I don't see it. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll... Oh, you know what? I probably didn't have it. Oh, it says it's on there. Now I just want to add it to the kneeboard. It seems to think it's already on the kneeboard. Ah, that's the first time I've seen a glitch like that. Okay. You know what? If we have to do it this way, let's do it this way. Okay. So I'm just going to pause my head turning here. Alright, so we're on the Sailor 2 RNAV arrival. GPS required, radar required. RNAV 1 star applicable to turbojet aircraft only. Runway 10 from over Sailor Track 167 to Flabo, then on 197 to Plano. Let's just go through this. Flabo, after Sailor we do Flabo, then Plano. Then on track 197 to Tinner, and that's it. So it's Flabo, Plano, at or above 6,000, and we are going to meet that restriction, and Tinner, and we have to be 11,000 at Sailor, which means we'll have to start down very soon. Doesn't seem to be on there, so I'm going to put this. I'm going to put Sailor at 11,000. Now it's got the restriction in there. Where we're going to intercept the ILS to runway 10 here in Puerto Rico. 11-2, the 29th of June 2018. 1097 and 101 are the frequencies. 1097 and 101 the inbound course. Glide slope at Remzi 1500. That is showing 1500 there. And ILS-DA of 260 is set. The touchdown zone at 10 feet. MSA is highest south of the field at 5,400 feet. Missed approach is climbed to 1,900 feet. Then a climbing left turn to 3,000 feet. On a heading of 300 and outbound on the San Juan Radial 004 to the DD intersection, which is at 15 DME and hold, or as directed by ATC. Use ICLA DME when on the localizer course. Recommended altitudes are there. Fernando Luis Rivas Dominici can be mistaken for Louis Maron International, so make sure we do land at the correct airport. The ILS will help guide us to that. The Note 1 radar required is for that transition, doesn't apply to us. The Note 2, loc only altitudes here, again not going to apply to us because we're going to be doing the full ILS. Pappy's on the left, MALSR 3-degree glide slope and a half-mile visibility required. After we land from runway 10, it's a convenient left turn off the runway. Probably going to be in the neighborhood of Hotel 5, maybe Hotel 6, and taxi back to the apron. Again, I don't have any parking gate information whatsoever. And that's weird because that's the Montreal parking chart. What the heck are you doing here? What? Something's a little glitchy with the I'm not sure if it's the Navigraph or if it's the... Ah, Lord. Huh. Something's a little glitchy, I think, with the Airbus here. That is a little bit weird. Anyways, let's see if I can just pull up the Navigraph chart on an alternative of the web browser here. And... because that is weird. Thought it was being a little bit glitchy there with the charting. Did we miss our top of descent point while we were sitting there chatting? We did, didn't we? So we should probably get this Going down here, I'm going to put the 11,000 foot altitude for Sailor. And into descent mode. And down we go. And for some reason now, it's not working on my other computer either. I think Navigraph is having some issues. Maybe it's my computer's having some issues, but I can't even seem to load this flight plan. It doesn't seem to like this flight plan. So I'm just going to have to do this the old-fashioned way. San Juan. And so I just want parking gates. That's all I want. I just want to see parking gates, and I just want to see if I can figure out where a Transat might park. So let's just see if I can Google something up here, maybe. Arrivals and departures, terminals, Air Transat. Let's see if it has anything down for Puerto Rico. US and South. Puerto Rico, or San Juan. San Juan, Puerto Rico, terminal, Charlie 3. Aha! Charlie 3, nice. Okay, so there we go. Gate discovered. Anyways, that's about it. Yeah. So that's it for the charts. Terrain, again, 5400 south of field. There is mountainous terrain south of field with the weather, or the ocean to the north. Weather, there was some rain showers earlier. It looks like they've moved off now, so it's just scattered clouds, not too bad. Light wind, vicinity showers, north to northeast, southwest to northwest, so there are showers around. And operational, let's just have a quick look-see here and see if there's anything in the flight plan. Any note dams for arrival? Watch it be the ILS is down or something. Got 10 now that we've briefed the whole thing. Should always look at your note dams first and then do your briefing. All aprons and taxiways are wet. Hotel 7, surface markings not standard. Hotels, surface markings not standard. Okay, that's fine. We can deal with that. Runway 1028 closed daily from 1400 to 2359. Really? So I have to switch runways? Okay. Well, we have to switch runways. So the approach then would probably be unserviceable. Let's see. ILS 10. ILS 8, glide path not monitored. ILS are low 10. This approach. Plans are done. Right turn to 3300. Direct Patty. SJU TAC ends unserviceable. Oh, that's always good. ILS are low runway 8. Okay. I have to step out of the flight deck for just a couple minutes here, but I will be back in a couple minutes and we will reset for runway 08 in San Juan. So stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back in just a minute.
1,000 to go.
Okay guys, sorry about that, back in the flight deck. We are already late to transition here. That airplane sank like a rock. I was only out of the room for 5 minutes and we're already down 11,000 feet. So there's 30 inches. What we're going to do really quickly here is I am going to change our arrival runway. Arrival, because 10 apparently is closed every day. So I do ILS 8 via the Sailor 2. So Sailor, Flabo. It's not going to like this, is it? Hold on, where are we going now? Sailor, Flabo, Planet. Now, let's see, it's... Oh, Lord. See, once you get past a certain point, it becomes very hard for it to change what it's doing. You basically have to... Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to go into heading mode for a second here. So we'll put it into manual heading mode. We'll completely obliterate this. I'm just going to completely select something completely wrong. And then make sure it stays in heading mode. Good, now we can fix it here. Arrival ILS 08 via the Sailor 2 arrival. And then that should do it. And then, so present position Sailor there. It's cycling through Flabo, Friendo, Wesson. And then at Wesson, it should transition. So we're going to go ahead and give it back to nav mode here. I'm going to get some descent going on here. This really is a bad thing to be like, doing these changes at the last possible second like this. Alright, so now we got to come back over here. ILS 08. And Wesson is after Joral. So all I have to do is remove this discontinuity and it'll transition properly. Okay. There we go. And we should probably do approach checklist.
Okay, approach checklist. Briefing.
Any questions?
Okay, that's checked and no questions.
Confirmed.
ECAM status.
Checked.
Seatbelts. 10,000.
On.
Faro ref.
3000 set.
3000 set. MDA-DH.
I need the performance page. Oh, it changed because we changed the approach. .311 feet. Minimum's 311 feet. Minimum's 311 feet. Set and checked. Set and checked. Oh, for crying out loud, you're useless. Set and checked. Approach checklist. Approach checklist.
Okay, approach checklist. Briefing.
Confirmed.
ECAM status.
Checked.
Seatbelts.
On.
Faro ref.
3000 set.
3000 set. MDA-DH.
311 set.
311 feet set. Engine mode selector.
Norm.
Alright, approach checklist is complete.
Check. Alright, let's bring up the weather radar just to make sure we're not going to fly through anything here. And a really super quick briefing for 08 now, because we are changing our approach here. So now it's ILS to runway 08, 110.3, 078. 110.3 and 078 are set. 1541 at Patty. The ILSDA of 311 is set. And touchdown zone at 9 feet. Still the same, I'm going to say, at 5,400 feet. Now the missed approach is climbed to 2,000 feet, then a left climbing turn to 3,000 on a heading of 320 outbound on the San Juan radial 004 to the DD intersection at hold.
1,000 to go.
Check. DME required VGS on Alex Winston ILS. Unusable 0.8 inbound to the threshold. We'll have to disconnect by then. 311.5 mile. Now it's a right turn off the runway with some approach light system available there. Pappies as well on the left. There's 3,000 feet set. I think we're still high for this approach, so we're going to go ahead and get that speed brake out and get down because we were distracted by the sudden runway change. But here we are. Here's Puerto Rico. Welcome, guys. There it is. We did make it in. We did make it to the island eventually. Yeah, speed brake is supposed to still be out. We are still going way too... We're descending way too slowly. What we'll do is we'll just take it out to open descent.
Okay, thanks for letting me know. Captain, the captain is secure.
Because we're way too high. We got to be down to 3,000 feet in the next like 7 miles in order to intercept this final approach course. So we got to get this airplane starting to go down. Not so bad when you have a second pilot to help you out with last minute changes who can do the changes while you're still flying and managing the airplane, but trying to make changes and manage the airplane at the same time can be very challenging to do. Volume up a little bit again here. I think it's about balanced, but
All right. 1,000 to go.
Now we're not doing too bad. We can start bleeding off some of the speed here. Flaps 1.
Speed checked. Flaps 1.
See too much effective activity around here at least, which is good. Arm our approach.
Okay, approach is armed.
Star.
Checked.
Glide slope star. Set missed approach altitude 3,000. Set missed approach altitude 3,000. I think you're useless. Some of the FS2 crews are really useful and some of them are sometimes useless. They don't respond to anything you need them to respond to. Speed 180.
Checked.
Alright, coming around the south side of the city here. I thought I had this up. There it is. Still Logstar. Flaps 2.
Speed checked. Flaps 2.
Accidentally touched my thrust levers there, moved them out of the D10, my bad.
2,500.
Not always the best. Sometimes you do things in the sim without meaning to. Alright, now we're looking okay here. Looks like some buildings were built on the side of hills there, though. Some of those hills don't look so good as you go strolling by. I guess this is probably the port of San Juan over here by the looks of it. Looks like container cranes and tanks and all sorts of stuff there. Gear down.
Gear down.
Flaps 3.
Speed checked. Flaps 3.
And just checking my perf page. Approach speed 149.
3, 0, 0, 0. Cross-checked.
Landing checklist.
Okay, landing checklist. Cabin crew.
Advised.
Auto thrust.
Speed.
ECAM memo.
Landing no blue.
Landing checklist complete.
Here goes downtown.
1,000.
Checked. Landing.
Check.
Here goes downtown San Juan. Maybe I can take him just a second now. And say gate Charlie 3. That seems to be the announced gate. Alright. We're approaching 1 mile final. ILS is unreliable, so disengage in the autopilot. So that
500.
Checked.
$400 above.
Checked.
$300 minimum.
Landing.
Check.
200. $100. 50, 40, 30. Retard. 10, 5.
Spoilers.
Check.
Reverse screen.
Check.
Decel. $70 knots.
Checked. So about 70 knots, you usually want to close out your reverser. Somewhere between 60 and 80 knots, you want to close out your reversers because you don't want to get FOD ingested by all the dust kicked up by reverse. So once you get below 60 knots, you're relying solely on the brakes usually to slow you down. If you had an emergency and you didn't have a braking system, you could use them right to idle, though they become less effective the slower you go. That's the thing about reverse thrust too, is they are most effective at high speeds. Once you start to get below a certain speed, they start to lose their effectiveness. So you don't want to use, you want to get them out there early and then get them stowed early so that you're not going to ingest FOD by having them out at low speeds, unless you were to need it for ejected takeoff or running out of runway or something like that. Okay to clean up. Bad pilot. I didn't make a single call on Unicom, did I? Bad pilot. Oh, not much point now. Okay, so since it doesn't work on here, I'm just going to check my other screen here for my Navigraph charts. Gate Charlie 3 is in the middle of the first horseshoe at the bottom of the alley there. But there we go. Welcome to San Juan. This is another Latin VFR airport, and I really do like this one as well. It's an excellent job done here. I like the line of trees around the airport that really kind of lends just an air of realism to it, because it really does kind of create a nice view block. I'm sure if you got close to the trees, they wouldn't really look that good, but from a distance, they do look quite good. But Latin VFR never fails to disappoint, or never fails to please, I guess. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Latin VFR always does a good job. I'm not sure what I'm trying to say here, but Latin VFR always does a good job. I find their sceneries are always very nice, very well done. They capture the spirit of an airport as much as they capture the the actual physical details, I think, too. And that's important. I like this airport. I love this fleet of DC-3s they've got down here across from the terminal here, which I guess is still popular on and commonly used airplane on this island. It's not a large island, but it is quite a few miles from one end to the other. So, as far as transportation, it can be useful, and certainly getting across other islands in the Caribbean, having good hauling airplanes that are inexpensive to operate, like a DC-3, with a heck of a low carrying capacity, that could be a good airplane to have at your disposal. All right, Charlie 3 is right over there in the corner. So I'm going to go ahead, and this guy never listens to me when I ask him to turn on the APU, so I'm going to turn it on. I'm also going to shut off the taxi light. Oop, there we go. Taxi light's coming off. And in we go. So we made it. Charlie 5, Charlie 3, right here in the corner. So we made it, guys. Another leg of A Pilot's Life done. Season 4 is now officially started. Welcome to Season 4. Hope you guys learned something useful today anyways. I do try to share things and try and make the stream interesting and useful to people every day. Another one of those marshalers inside the buildings deals there. So we're just going to self-marshal here, I guess. So it looks like the A321 is the very first line there. So we're just going to have to switch to self-marshaling mode here because our marshaler's stuck in the building, but I may adjust him. So the next time I come here and use this gate. There we go. And parking brake. Let me just check the status of the APU. She is online, so we can go ahead and kill the engines. And he goes and does his thing. I'll call for the jetways. Probe heat. APU bleed, that's the one I wanted.
Cockpit from ground.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Chalk's right now, and you can release the parking brake.
Thank you. Parking checklist.
Okay, here's the parking checklist. APU bleed.
On.
Engines.
Off.
Seat belts.
Off.
Exterior lights.
Off.
Fuel pumps.
Off.
Parking brake and chocks.
Set.
Parking checklist is complete.
Check. And now it doesn't like my SOD connection. Aircraft door too close for the jetway, honestly. Okay. See if I can get the tug to push me back just a hair so we can dock the door. Whoa, way too far. Ah! Just a little bit at a time. Patience. There we go. Let's see if that'll do it. Oh, now it's going to do it. There we go. Then we can request boarding, or deboarding. Alright, and there we go, guys. That's, bridge is going to slowly dock there. And we have another one in the logbook. No, didn't want to check that. Want to check this. There we go. Another one in the logbook. Transat 640, 8.69 experience points. And another couple of hours, and we're on our way. There we go, not too bad. 139, we need 200 to get to our next rank. So keep going through this month, and it'll probably work out just fine for us. But there we go. That was it. next flight is almost a return flight. It's San Juan back to Toronto, so it's a little bit of a variation here, a little triangle, and then we'll have a quick short hop one day from Toronto to Montreal just to get back to home base. So it's going to be fun, guys, but in the meantime, let's just have a quick look here at the job market, too. I always like seeing what's going on here. I got offered a job at Jazz, at Porter. They want me to pay me quite a bit more money, too. Also, Atlas Global from Istanbul. Not Constantinople. Yeah. But anyways, there we go. And yeah, so Sim Toolkit Pro, as you can see, it did automatically complete new report. Your flight has been logged as completed and shut down. Fuel has been saved. The one thing I don't like about this now is I used to be writing down my gates when I shut down. And now I can't do that because it automatically shuts down before I have a chance. So I have to remember to write it down on my scratch pad because I cannot edit the scratch pad once it's done, which is a shame. And for some reason, it seems to be having a few problems finding my aircraft, tracking my aircraft. But anyways, nevertheless, there's another leg done down to San Juan. And yeah, that's basically it for today, guys. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this this stream. I think it was kind of fun. It's a nice airport to visit here. Again, Latin VFR, they do a great job. They really do. The scenery looks fantastic. And yeah, so that's it for today. We will catch you all next time for another leg of A Pilot's Life here on Twitch. It's going to be on the YouTube in the next week or so. But in the meantime, you guys be safe out there. I don't know when that next episode is going to air, because lucky me, I am getting to go back to work, so it's going to be a little while, probably. I got to kind of focus now on relearning my actual airplane and getting back into the swing of things at work. Plus, it's also going to cut down on my available time with all the things that I'm trying to do in terms of home improvements and other things right now. It's going to cut back on what I'm doing, so I don't know when the next stream is going to happen. I honestly don't. I'm hoping it'll be soon, but it could be, well, a couple of weeks before it happens. But nevertheless, guys, thank you for following me. Continue to follow me on Twitch. Subscribe to me on YouTube. You'll get informed when I do come online and when I do post the next flight. So, unfortunately, I don't always know in advance when it's going to be, but I will try and keep it going at some point this month. So, in the meantime, enjoy your summer, guys. I hope you're having a good one out there. I hope you're staying healthy, staying home, staying safe, and we will see you guys all real soon.